All right, there we are. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. We're here. We're talking about all the new laws and stuff that's going into effect. This week, we're going to cover the school vouchers and schools and what effect it will have on Texas public schools, private schools, and even in homeschooling, because there is money for people who teach their kids in home, but it's not as much as they think it is. So we're going to cover all that in the pros and the cons, and it's on both sides, pros and cons. So we don't know exactly which this is going to lead us to, but I'm gonna open up with. Let me get to my page right here where I have everything at. I'm making sure. I think we are all good. Okay, so let me go to where I was at. That I sent some things out earlier this week. Um, the debate is going to be over for school vouchers. They have enough votes right now to pass it. But what will be the consequences when they do pass it? Who will it hurt? Who will it affect? And so I think it's going to affect the public school funding once it comes down to that, because we're taking money away from public schools right now. And no public schools have been paid anything, I think, in the past 3 or 4 years. They just been holding on to the money for this to vote on to do vouchers. But the downside for the vouchers is this. Now I read it, it seemed like each student, not each household, but each student would get $8,000. Okay? But I looked at the program for most of the private schools. It runs between 10, 12, as much as $20,000 a year. So how is that voucher going to cover anything if you got to still dip in your pocket and pay for things? Any thoughts on that, Mr. Green?
Well, yeah, and first, good morning to everyone. And this is a great topic that we're on today. Uh, Education, I would like to say, begin with, we are all wanting the same thing. We're wanting high education, quality education for our children. It's just a matter of how we get there. The public schools, they've been challenged in the past with providing good, high quality education. And let's face it, Texas, we don't rank very high in the nation as far as education. The voucher option has come up, and it's heavily promoted by our governor and the other legislators. And the money that they have or that they want to allocate for the vouchers doesn't cover the whole cost, which is what you were saying, Ron.
Yeah.
And the cost of the vouchers, that's one challenge that we have. And the other is the offshoot as to what happens in our rural areas, particularly when the voucher and some of these in-home schools come online. And they're going to be hurt because in these rural areas, the public school is a lot of times the highest employer in the area. So what happens to them and those jobs is the other issue.
Yeah, I'm looking at, here are the potential benefits for this. Proponents argue that the vouchers empower parents to choose the best education setting for their children in the private sector. Access to quality education. Families, especially those in underserved areas, might gain access to private schools. Well, they got to realize there's not that many private schools in some counties at all. Then they say it's an increase in competition and flexibility with the vouchers. Now, the potential drawback is this. Public school funding's opponent argued that the diversity of public funds to private education, it will hurt the public schools altogether. lack of oversight. There's nobody really looking at the private sectors on how they teach and what they teach. It's only up to them. In public schools, the states mandate what they could teach, and that's what they do. So the impact to rural areas, like you just pointed out, is really going to suffer because some of the rural areas, like you said, their biggest employer is the public school system. So if they take that away and go to vouchers, it's going to hurt the rural area schools.
Yes, and I'm not sure that some of the people have thought this all the way through. When I say thought it all the way through, what is the net effect in these rural areas? Fast forward, 2 or 3 years from now, what is that going to look like? And I just kind of wonder if they've given it any further thought. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so here I am looking at the tuition cost right now that people got to realize. The average tuition for private schools is almost $12,000 per year, all grade levels. Private high schools tends to be a higher tuition, almost right at 12,000. However, in larger cities like Houston, tuition costs may be higher, more than $17,000 a year. And then you go upwards outside that, some schools, private school, will cost $30,000 a year. We're talking about getting into what used to be the cost college to go to college back then. So, what is $8,000 going to do for somebody right here? And we're not talking about school supplies, uniforms, because some private schools you have to have uniforms. We're not talking about the other costs that's added on to that. So I wonder if they push this through, like they said they got the votes for right now, who's going to subsidize all this other cost? The state? They got to take out loans or what?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, and the people that I've talked to, and even my own family, most of our people are in public school systems, and when we go to talk about vouchers, that's the first thing that comes up is the cost. And you've got a number of different kids in the family. It can be very expensive, and who's going to cover that cost? So we're going to have to look at that.
Yeah, we were talking about the pros and cons earlier. Here's something broke down right here. The pros: public schools are tuition free, funded by state and local federal government. Families generally only pay for supplies, activity, materials, and all that stuff. That's what they pay for. Public schools are required to accept all students regardless of social backgrounds. Cost of families remain minimal, allowing access to education without financial strain. Those are pros. Here's the cons. Public schools depend heavily on tax revenue, which can limit resources in lower income areas, leading to disparity in quality, overcrowding due to budget constraints, higher costs. While tuition-free parents may inquire costs for supplies, then there's their transportation. Now that's just with public schools. Now, I'll let you comment on that before I go to the private schools, the pros and cons.
Well, yeah, it's to some it's going to be a tough decision because you look at the pros and cons that you just mentioned with the public schools, but they're not performing. Our kids are not, we're really behind the eight ball on the performance. Given the pros and cons there with the public schools, so if it's your child and you have that option, or are you going to continue to place them in the arms and the care of the public schools, or are you going to be willing to dig into your pocket and look at a private school, a voucher route, or even in homeschooling is what I'm hearing some people come up with. But it's still going to be a cost as opposed to going to the public school option.
Yeah. Here's the pros and cons for excuse me, for private schools. Higher tuition allow private schools to offer smaller class size, specialized program, and advanced faculties. Flexibility. Families can choose schools with specific curriculums, religion, affiliation, or unique teaching philosophies. Private schools often have reputation for higher academic standards and college preparation. Now, those are the pros. Here are the cons. The average cost of private schools in Texas is $11,167 annually, with the elite schools costing more than $30,000 a year. Additional costs beyond tuition, families may face fees for uniforms, books, extracurricular activities, and transportation. Accessibility issues. Higher costs make private education accessible for many families, even with scholarships or financial aid. Now, I'm going to tag on that last one. They have scholarships for a grade school, middle school, and high school. I didn't know they did or not. But those are the pros and cons right there.
Well, I think what we may see, and this is just a guess, in talking with my state board of education representatives, there's a lot that have not been laid out as far as the money goes with the voucher route. So assistance such as scholarships and other kinds of assistance is yet to be known or even laid out. So they're saying there may be more help there if parents choose to go to the voucher route than we know right now. So there's a lot to be seen yet.
So their comparison of the cost is this. Public education costs per student are covered by taxes averaging $11,760 annually statewide, reflecting the total district. However, families do not pay this directly. Now, in the private sector, families bear the full cost of $11,167 per student, in addition with supplies, expenses, and all that. So that is a good comparison right there.
It is. It is. And so we still have the session to go through and for this to be approved totally. But I think now's the time that parents and others need to start seeking out, what other kinds of assistance can they get with the voucher program in place. So we've got some time. I said parents have some time to start seeking out what other assistance they can get.
Yeah. So the choice between public and private schools in Texas hinges on affordability, priorities, access to resources. Public schools often, they offer broad accessibility and minimal cost to the family, while private schools provide specialized options but require significant financial investment. So it's going down to the money. show me the money. That's what it's boiling down to. And with that being said, you gotta weigh which way you want to go. Like I don't have the graph. I wish I'd have pulled it out. That some counties in Texas don't even have a private school. So how are they able to use that money if they don't have a private school? If they go to vouchers?
Well, it's going to be tough. We'll have to see. I think as we start looking at the voucher option, there may be some things that come up that surprise all of us that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think will happen. And because I think our intent is, we're not too, we're not trying to penalize the public school option, at least in my view anyway. And there'll be as much assistance out there as possible to help the rural areas that are really going to be impacted by this, should and when it gets approved. So I think we may see some things that will help in those situations. That's what I'm hoping.
And do you know they never mention about the rural schools who don't have private school, how they gonna get money? That has not even been mentioned that I heard of anywhere. So if they gonna go for this vote, they need to cover all bases. If they don't cover all bases, we're gonna pretty well shut out the rural schools. And are they gonna exist? Like for here, instance, in some cities in Texas, they shut down some of the schools because it wasn't enough kids going. It was a financial burden on them, so they shut down some elementary schools and some middle schools and stuff. So if they turn around and pass this voucher, what is that going to say or do to some of the kids in the rural areas? Because I know some schools in rural areas, it's kindergarten all the way up to middle school, and then they go to high school. In some bigger cities, you got your elementary schools, then your middle school, then high school. So they got a lot of studying to do on if they pull what they want to do, it's going to suffer.
Yeah. And if I was a representative, either state representative or a state senator, and my county or area was going to be impacted, and I'm from a small county, small rural area, I would certainly be on the phone and beating the drum to find answers to some of the questions that we have just discussed. And I would certainly be doing that right now and have some answers for these parents and the kids that are going to be affected. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. I see that Dr. Veronica M. Brooks is in the house right now in her new studio. Look at her.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I apologize for that. I didn't know what was happening. I was here, and then I was not here. I was like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped on my phone trying to listen to what you guys were talking about here. And about those bills that they are, trying to pass. We are, when you said about $8,000 a year, you have to really look at that. That's something to me, that sounds like they just want you to fail. They just want, because 8,000, even when you break it down, just to monthly, that's like maybe about 400 and something, and then if you break it down daily, it's like about maybe $160 something dollars, something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting on my calculator.
That's just like for one child, right?
Yeah, you
how can you do that to a school? So
Yeah.
it puts a lot of impact there for me because you're thinking about children, and if you really care about children, then you would fix the problem, not try to destroy it. And it just lets me see, really where we stand, and as far as us, it puts people that their children in school in a danger zone to me. Not really being taken care of. So what other options do we have is basically find a way to homeschool to me. But that would be difficult for some parents that work. You see, you got to think about everybody, what's happening there. So it's a whole lot going on there with those bills. Hopefully they'll see what's happening.
And we really hadn't hit the real heart of this is most of the public schools have aftercare when kids have to stay in school till the parents get off from work. Now, is that going to be in it? I don't know if some private schools do that. I think when it's over with, you got to go. There's no after school care after that. So I don't think they have really talked about that either. And so it's a lot of things going to affect the kids if this bill is passed.
Yeah, they're not. It's like no care for the children. So when I'm looking at that, I'm looking at where your character's at, your heart is, and everything. And you say you care about kids, you have all these different bands, but it's showing that you do not care about the children, because what you would do is make the best interest for the children. And parents have to work, the money's there. With private schools, you have to have that money to pay that private school. And I know that because, where my kids and my grandkids, they went to private school, but everybody, you have to look at everybody does not have that to pay. Everybody cannot just do that.
Right.
In a private school. You cannot forget about the others. And that's where you have to keep that open mind and look and see, okay, wait a minute. You look at the percentage, and I think you gave me a percentage, Ron. Was it like 72% or something like it's on one of the emails? That's going to be damaging.
Yeah.
You have to look at all what is there. And if you're not looking there, you're in the wrong place. You're not even supposed to be actually in Congress or any type of representation to me. Because you're not looking out for the entire America. You look at the percentages. You don't be ignorant to the fact that there's other people that are there that are going to suffer. And if you're for America, be for America.
Yeah. See, you just brought something. Here's something I'm going to read out to you. This hit me right here when I read this. I had to do a double take on it. The potential effect on public schools, including their sport programs, stem from likely reduction in enrollment as some students may transfer to private schools. The decrease in enrollment could lead to diminishing fundings for public schools as state funding is tied to students' attendance. See, a lot of people don't realize that. Each student that's in class, that's how they get the money, for each student. And they don't understand that. So if there's a reduction, that's what's going to happen. And also what's going to happen is it's going to hit all these extracurricular activities, not just sports. We're looking at band. We're looking at all these things that's going to hit. They may just window, and it's just going to be gone altogether. So
yeah, those are important things.
Right. So how are we going to go ahead and make up that loss? Because right now, here in each county in the state, there's some money that comes out of taxes that goes towards the schools. Now, does that money get funneled all the way up to the state level and not dispersed here in the local area? I don't know how that works. Anybody know how that works?
How they disperse the money?
Yeah, once the taxes are collected yearly here, those taxes go to the state for the education fund, or is it here in your county or your city?
But that money is it is doled out by the state to the districts, and so then it's rolled out, from that level. Again, I as a local representative, I would be really on the phone calling the mayor, and not the mayor, but the our governor, and asking, hey, we're going to get some assistance for the void that's going to be left, and because they're going to have some answers for parents here in the next year to 2 years. But I don't hear a lot of people doing that, and so I think maybe they just hadn't felt or seen the pain yet, but it's going to be a pain.
Which brings this point right here. I don't know if anybody thought about this, but they're too busy taking books out of the public schools, saying you can't read this, you can't read that. They don't have control over the private schools. They can have anything in there that they want. So
I don't understand that. Because they want to take the books out, but yet then you want to bring as many guns and give guns to as many people as you want. It doesn't make sense. You have to use common sense and good judgment when you're dealing with the people. And when we look at removing those books, see, I see what type of people that we're working with, and they don't have the common sense that they need to handle, like I said, the children, because that just doesn't make sense to me with the books. Because I know when I, being, retired now in contracting, when we allocate the money, when I'm awarding that contract, whatever it is, for 10 million or whatever, we have a way where we allocate the money, but it's like in certain increments, and it goes to that head, person. But they have to give us every single detail how they have spent, that money, what's going on when it's divvied out. And that's why I go back to the question that you asked, how it was sent out. And then Mr. Green, when I heard you explain that, I know that they do give money to the Senate, or to the governor, I should say, which would be Abbott, for Texas. But I can't trust him to divvy it out right when I see how his character is. You're supposed to do things the right way. When I see things like that, how can you not notice somebody is only taking care of their end of the stick, and then they may only do it for the private schools, which a lot of are either to the millionaires and the billionaires, which is unfair for the people that don't have. So I don't understand how they can take out the books. They're gonna get the money. I don't believe that they would just sit there and just let the kids go like that. I just don't believe that. I believe there'll be a fight in there with Congress, an actual fighting back. I don't think they would just let the children suffer like that. I truly believe that.
yeah, because that is our future, and it's almost like a double standard. Like, you go to private school, you can't read this. You go to public school, you can't read this. You go to private school, oh, you can read whatever you want to read. So how on one hand you telling everybody else in the public sector you can't do this, but then you giving vouchers out for private schools, say you can do whatever you want to do, because state don't mandate private schools that I know of. If anybody know anything different, please let me know.
Well, I think you're right, Ron, that private schools will they have less governmental supervision, if you would, than the public schools, and that is one of the downsides is that you don't have that kind of control because private schools they're private. They're going to operate according to their own rules and bylaws. But I think they will have. I think from talking to my representatives, there are going to be some safeguards there for parents and for the students, and so they'll cover a lot of those areas that we're talking about, but we just have not seen it or heard it yet.
I wish they would put the blueprint out there for all us to read before they start doing all this in January. All we're hearing is innuendos what they want to do, but there's no clear fact on what they're going to do and how they're going to do it and how it's going to affect everybody. This may be bigger than what they think, how it's going to affect everybody, because to me, my personal opinion, $8,000 is just a drop in the bucket for even the ones who got money to send their kids to private school. They'll offset the cost, for the ones who do have the money to send their kids to private school. It's going to offset the cost. They're going to save $8,000 a year from that. Okay, fine. But look at this. What about a family of four? What about a large family? No matter what the cost is, it's going to be a strain on anybody's budget. Because look how things are going on nowadays. Look at inflation. Look at the cost of everything. Can they really afford to do all this? Have anybody looked into that?
Ron, to send one kid to private school is like $50,000 wherever you send them to. That's a year. It could be even more. It could be 50 or even more. So I don't know that $8,000. It just doesn't make it. The numbers are not adding up at all. It doesn't make any sense. $8,000. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, 8,000. It's not clicking.
So let's be real about this, everybody. They're talking about the low end of $11,167 to send somebody to a private school. Okay, that's the low end. What is that private school like? Is it only accepting 50 students to that school because they're small? And then when they're talking about going to the elite one, 30,000+ a year. So what are we looking at? Have we really did the math on that, on the size of the private school?
That doesn't make sense. So okay, Ron, so you say that the lowest is $11,000. Just send one kid to a private school, right?
Right.
But they're giving $8,000 for a whole year for the whole entire school? Is that it?
It's $8,000 a child. A student. I mean, $8,000 a student to go. That's what that is.
Makes sense. How can you do that and then 11,000? That's the numbers that are not right.
And now that's not counting supplies. And most private
numbers are not right.
Yeah, and most private schools have a dress code. They must wear the same thing. Exactly. So all that comes into play. So I'm trying to figure out where the numbers at. I mean, I want to be precise with the numbers, what it's really going to cost. I tell you what, $8,000 is not even a drop in the bucket because you got to look at everything else when it comes down to that.
Yeah, I would strongly encourage everyone to get in touch with their representatives and ask for the blueprint, if you would, of this voucher program, and get some answers to some of the questions that we have. And because there's a lot of void there, and we're not saying it right now. But I have confidence in our governor that they're not going to leave them just out there in the dark. So they'll come up with the program to answer some of the questions that we do have. I believe in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Green, I don't believe, my governor, see, they already gave the keys to a criminal or crook. And then that criminal has given keys to the other, his, other people that he's putting in place. He's given those keys. So you're giving keys to a criminal. That doesn't even make sense. So I don't trust, because they lied so much, and now they're going back on their word, because I just heard what the Trump what Trump was saying about they don't know if like the prices can even go down. He can make the prices go down, but before he's saying that he could. But now he's saying he can't. He's going back on something else. It's always a bunch of lies. So it's hard for me to trust. None of that. I can't. It's hard for me.
Well, I the old saying, trust in God, and I think God will pull us through.
Yeah.
And as far as a person's word and their integrity, it falls back on us. Guess who voted and put them in office? We did out here, and so we have to have some accountability there as to who is in those positions. And if you don't have the confidence in that person, we need another person in. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know what they did not understand when they were actually voting. And now the voting's going to come up again soon for the governor. So you got to really pay attention even about that. We don't want that person back in place anymore. So I hope somebody gets up there and run that can help us, help our children, help, just with the education arena and building the schools, because we want them to grow, to be great, to be successful, not to deal with all this chaos. As an American and as people in leadership, I expect you to take the weight off and to do what is right. That's what I expect. But like I said, the right people have to be in the right position, because we already know the integrity of the other people that are in place.
Let's switch gears. I want to go over to Senate Bill 1, which were introduced. They introduced education savings account. Could have a complex impact on black students with both potential benefits and challenges. Now, SB 1 allow families to use a state-funded ESA to pay for private school tuition and all the good stuff. But for some black families, this could be a greater access to a higher quality private education option, potentially offering a more tailored curriculum or educational environment that aligns with their needs and values. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there and see. It's a whole bunch on this right here. So these are the pros. Okay, and they also say private schools offer smaller class size and more. They can more give the attention to each student, which could be an advantage for black students who may not have that experience in the public sector. So what do y'all those are the pros about it. So what y'all think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, smaller class sizes, yeah, that's a good thing. As far as our students of color, it's all great if we could all have that smaller class size. But again, it falls back to affordability, and if we could all afford that, that would be great for any students, regardless of the color. but our students of color would definitely benefit from that, but it's affordability again. So there we are, right back to that almighty question of the dollar.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm glad you said that because it said while some families may benefit from the opportunity to attend a private school, many black families may not have the financial resources to cover the remaining costs of private education not covered by ESA. And you hit the nail right on the head right there when you said it goes down to the money. You know, it's going to affect the kids of color. We already know that. It's going to affect them right point blank. So how can they get a higher education if they can't afford to go to public school and a private school and they got public school to go to? They're going to tear. I'm just going to say it like this. If this bill passes, the school system in Texas is going to be wrote over again. Will we ever to come back from this? If it goes south, I don't know. But we're messing around with an experiment that we're messing around with our kids. Because that's why I call it an experiment.
You're right, Ron. I mean, should this voucher pass, and I expect it's going to pass, it would be probably one of the biggest legislative effects on education since what the No Child Left Behind Act, and so it's going to be huge. But I still feel, and I have the trust and believe that they're going to have some scholarships somewhere based on income, based on some factor to help assist those to be able to get into these voucher schools or in-home schools, and so I'm going on faith here that will happen.
Well, you know, they want to take away the diversity and all that, and that was the whole idea, to put the things on equal level. So if they want to go ahead and try to get scholarships and all that, I'm just going to say it's still going to be against the minority, regardless on how they go about it, because they're taking it away right now for colleges and stuff. They don't even want that in colleges. That's another probably 2-hour show right there, talking about how they do in colleges with higher education. Things cannot be on an equal standing if you have certain ones that's got the money to send their kids anywhere they want to go, and all we asking for is minority is give us an equal footing to come in so we get an education, because we may shut out potential presidents, scientists, whatever, if they can't get the education.
Agree. Okay. For Doctor to share some of her input, but is she still with us by chance?
Yeah, she's here.
I'm here. It's just I'm like I told you, I get frustrated with some things, so I just sometimes need to really kind of just back away. But the thing is, like I said, it's just too chaotic, too much stuff. It's just chaotic for me in my community, especially people that look like me. I would actually tell them to just get with other people in our community, because we can't trust none of that up in those positions there. It's hard. We can't depend on them. We can't. You can't put your trust there. Just like you said, you definitely have to put your trust in God. But you have to be using wisdom and knowledge at the same time as you're waiting patiently, and make sure you have everything in order for your own self. And what I mean by that, sometimes you have to get with your own community and get together with them, bind together with them, and that way we can pitch in together to help one another build our own children together. That's the only thing I see now, because I have no faith, no trust at all, basically, in none of them, because they're full of crap and they're just throwing out stuff like that. Did I say that?
Yeah, you did. You just being real. That's all.
I was trying not to go like. I was trying not to go there. But my thing is, we can't say what it is. We can't. We ignore it. And the downright thing that they're trying to do is because they're racist, and it's a full of racism, just point blank. That's what it is. So that's why, if they want to be racist and they want to do, try to do all these things and try to pass all these just disturbing bills. Okay, you want to be separate, you be separate. Just leave us alone and let us do what we do, and don't hinder us to get where we're going to get. So my thing is to get with our community, because we do have we have much in our own community.
Yeah.
And we do know how to create.
Yeah. Just got a comment right here from Judy. She wrote, public schools will get funding based on average daily attendance. Okay, I understand that fully. But if they start taking, kids start going to private schools, that money's going to dwindle for the public schools. You agree or disagree? Any one of you?
Well, I think it's a fact. I mean, if you have less students going, then money is going to be less. So that's a mathematical fact. But I think we tried the separate but equal thing, that didn't work. Again, I still believe there's going to be some answers to our questions that will come up here in this next legislative session. But we as parents and as the public, we're going to have to pull and tug at our elected officials to hey, spell out this plan that we have or that we need in order to help these families that have less need. So we've got to get some answers, and there's a lot of things that are not clear to us. So we got to find out what they are.
You're so right about that. It's a lot of things not clear to us. We got a lot of questions. And
we shouldn't have questions. We shouldn't have these many questions. Some questions I understand, but this is really unnecessary. We should not have this many questions. We should be clear, and we should be, comfortable, just to live, here in America, especially when you're straight up American. My thing is, you said to go to our representatives. Okay, if I go to my representative and they give me not what I want to hear, because I want to hear some facts, I need some data, I need to see what that plan is actually going to be, because all the people that I talk to, they ask, and I have to give them an answer. And what is that? I don't know what to say. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I shouldn't be like that. I should be able to give a clear and concise answer to them, just like you said. The parents need to know. So I'm gonna take you up on that. We'll go to the representative and ask.
I'm gonna try my best to get down there to the Capitol when they start having these sessions, because I want to hear it myself, because that's going to be a subject right there that it's going to be, we got to have the answers to the questions. Matter of fact, if they ask anybody to submit questions, I'm going to have 20 to submit. Because I want to know the answers. See, in order to take part in this, we have to be part of it. So we could sit back all day and say this, say that, but let's get down there and be part of it. Let's not be the problem. Let's try to have the issues resolved. Let's get the answers. So instead of sitting back on your sofa doing Monday night quarterbacking, we need to be down in the trenches with them and give them our opinion, because they need to know. They need to know what Texans are asking and what they really want. So if you get enough pushback, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to start listening.
Amen.
And the ones that are in Congress that are fighting, especially I could say in Texas, they're standing up pretty strong, and they do need our, just they need our support. But I think more should be said, more should be done. But if they don't know, because they got to get the answers from the other people, then
what happened to the Mr. Green? What happened to them old timey smoke filled rooms? You all got together in a room and y'all talked it out, didn't leave till everything was resolved. What happened to those times? Are we gonna come back to those times that we can actually sit down and talk to each other across the aisles? What's best for Texas? What's best for the kids? It looked like we got away from that. It's almost like do as I say and say as I do.
I believe most people have resorted to AI now instead of smoke.
Okay, touche on that. When you're right about that, AI would tell them everything, but they don't listen to AI. Yeah,
we missed those days for sure.
Because that was a way that you really got together and sat down and you talked to each other. Because to me, I tell you, meeting somebody in person is better than texting on the phone, because you get that feeling. You can see that trust in them. You can see if they're BSing or not. You can see it. Email and text message, you don't know what they're feeling. They say, I'll do this just to shut them up and just go on the merry way. But if you see them in person, it carries a lot more weight.
You're absolutely right. Now, I don't know that we can go back to that now since AI is here. I think AI is here to stay. So we got to learn to work with what we have. And unfortunately, it is what it is. So, any way we can help the people and the kids out there, we just have to make an extra effort now and get it done.
There was a show on Roland Martin and John Hope, I think his name, and it's Hope. It's Operation Hope, and this is where they're building and actually they're training and hiring the kids for AI. Learning the AI and doing everything for them. I would make a suggestion to get involved in that Operation Hope. And I read some of his books. He's actually one of our billionaires, and I believe millionaire. Well, I think he's one of our billionaires, but black billionaires. But the thing is, I would get involved with them because they have an outreach. I mean, they're there, and they have different groups set up to help actually our community in America. So I think that's one of the places that we can actually go to. But it was good. It was on Roland Martin. I think they had like a 3-day series of it. I didn't get to see all of the series of it, but I've known about Operation Hope for some time and been, registered with them. But they have a lot that's there. But I think that's one of the places.
Yeah, I think it was a school in Austin, Texas that started something like that several years ago. if I'm right, I was reading it somewhere, and they started things with AI where kids would come in there, no school books whatsoever. They got in front of the computer and AI. They did everything with AI right there. I don't know. I think there was a pilot program. I don't know if it still went on or is it still going on, but that's something to look into too. So private schools, look out. Coming to you real quick, and maybe somebody with AI teaching your kids at home.
Yes, and you know, I really there's a young lady too that has, you know, she did a lot with even helping with, her name is actually Melissa, but well, I shouldn't probably say her name, but the thing is, she has, you know, her and her husband, they had 6 kids, and 5 of them, they all started college at age 13. But she was telling me that she had her kids in public school, but she had ended up just taking them out by faith, Mr. Green, that, you know, she could go ahead on and do this and build her kids. And I tell you what, when meeting, you know, her children, they're, you know, very intelligent, you know, and that they all went, the 5 of them went at age 13, you know, starting college, and I know the 10-year-old is actually in 9th grade. And just so respectable and so knowledgeable and just so great. And just people like that just her alone can teach a lot of parents just how to start and just homeschool their own children, you know, to get out of all this mess that we're in, you know, to help there as well. So that was something I am so proud of her and her husband, you know, because they're just great people all the way around, and their children, and they're going to be lawyer, doctor, business. I forgot what the others are, but they've already. I mean, they're coming like in their senior year, you know, way from college. Yeah, not even, you know, they're so young. But those people like that is good to connect with as well.
Okay. Well, let's go around the horn and we close things out for this Friday edition of Texas in Color. Thoughts about the vouchers and where everything is going here in Texas? I'm gonna start off with you, Mr. Green.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank all of y'all for your input and your vision. We're at a point where we're going to have to do something different, because our educational performance as a state in comparison to the nation it's embarrassing. In fact, you know, when I look at Iowa and Minnesota, and I know it's not comparing apples and oranges, or it is comparing apples and oranges, but we've got to do something different here in Texas. We just have to find a way to close those gaps that we're all reaching for answers for, and we will do it. We're just not there yet.
Okay. Dr. Brooks?
Yeah, we're not there yet, and I don't think I want to wait any longer. But that's why sometimes we just have to move like now, you know, connect with the right people and get into, like I said, the different groups, especially to help build. I mean, because if they can see that we can build in, actually, Dr. Boyce Watkins, the Black Business School, I saw him build the whole entire business, you know, school with experts in it in a matter of months. You know, just took like, well, a couple of years maybe, and it just exploded. But using powernomics and things like that, because I'm going to focus on my community because it's affecting most of my community. So that's where I am looking at. And when you know the power of powernomics, then those are the type of strategies that you make and that you move in. Because I don't trust any of them, because like I said, I don't. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but we have to make a move. We have to make a change, and that change is to bind together with other groups that are like-minded, like you and me.
Okay. My thoughts on this is, I said it already earlier, is don't talk about it, be about it. Get down there at the Capitol and see what they're doing. Go and see the session for yourself. If they ask, if you have any questions, have questions written up, because they don't know what you want or what you need if you don't speak out. And that seems to be the problem nowadays. Nobody, or they're afraid to speak out. We got to start speaking out. Like Mr. Green said, call your representative. Let them know what's going on how you feel. Because remember, we put them in office to represent us. And if they don't represent us, we can always take them out of office. But we got to have a stand on where we at. There's no drawing a line in the sand anymore. We just got to go there and be about it and let everybody know this is what we want and this is what we're looking for. Regardless if you get it or not. But at least your voice will be heard, because that's the best thing about the democratic process here. Your voice counts. Whether it's going to swing anything or not, you have to get out there and use your voice, because your voice is your power.
That's right.
Okay. All right. We appreciate Dr. Veronica Brooks and Mr. Green coming on board. Boy, I love these Fridays. I look forward to these Fridays. I'm looking at Veronica. She's sitting up there like she's in a penthouse office space somewhere in there. Oh, Veronica, let me tell you something. You missed the last 2 weeks. I know you had other things going on, but Mr. Green was in a suit for 2 weeks in a row.
Oh yeah, I saw the recording. You guys were totally awesome there.
Yeah. And
I learned so much from you guys each time I get on here, and I know I get a little frustrated because I've been there to the White House, but I appreciate you both, because you're just trying to get things right, and I just don't have the patience, I guess.
Well, the best thing I like about our show, we can agree to disagree, but in the bottom line, we still want the same thing. We still want the same thing. Sometimes you got to go to New York, to Chicago, to San Antonio. Sometimes you go to Mars and Moon to San Antonio. But the deal is, we all agree that something needs to be done. And it may not be the way we want it, but that's the process. And we got to respect the process whether we like it or not. And to change the process, we got to get out and vote and do things we need to do. Because it doesn't make any sense to talk about things all the time if you're not doing anything.
Exactly. Oh God, Ron, exactly. Yeah, you have to really put your foot down.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you both. I really do. I appreciate you just sharing your wisdom and all the things like that. And I'm glad we can agree that something needs to be done, but I just have to move, where I have to move to, and that's what I've been doing. And I have to connect. I have to support the people that are for us.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere else. But when I see somebody build, just make things happen, I say, oh, okay, this is how we're going.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know if I better not let y'all, I'll keep that. But anyway, I've seen it happen where when we bind together in 45 minutes, almost came up with $2 million, when we bind together. And so that's, we can do that if we bind together. That's why I wanted to make and stress that point. Because you can't always put your eggs in one basket. Even though they're there and we're trying to get people in the right positions. And, I didn't vote for, those people that are up in that presidential. No. I didn't vote for that. That was not, So the ones that did, it's like we're coming back and trying to catch where they made their mistake, but they're gonna have to fix their mistake. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, I know what we need to do. We have to bind together and do what Mr. Green said. You go to the rep and make sure they're putting their foot down as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, all right, everybody. Appreciate it. Another Friday. We'll catch everybody. What is next Friday? I'm gonna make sure. The 20th. Okay. Yeah, the 20th. So yeah, we'll be broadcasting on the 20th, and we'll get together about. Yeah, huh? Oh yeah, I got that coming up.
That
See,
ain't karaoke.
no, it ain't karaoke.
I can't. I'm cut off now. I can't.
Yeah, but then we got the 27th. So yeah.
I can't no more.
All right. I'll get together with both of y'all and we'll talk about the 27th if we're going to do it or not, because it's 2 days after Christmas. People may have family in town and we didn't want to mess with all that. So we'll get together on that. So I appreciate you, Dr. Veronica Brooks and George Green, for being on. This is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. Until next Friday, y'all have a blessed weekend.
Okay, God bless.
All right.